Hello, America. My friend Jennifer suggested I started making videos for children, so we're going to give that a go, and this is a shout out to her. What do children love more than anything else? Gardening. So we're going to start our new gardening segment. So I recently got a 3D printer, and instead of making just like a lot of dumb toys, which I made a ton of, which are really fun, I decided to start making planters. Because they can look really cool, you can make them in cool shapes, and they're semi-useful, they hold plants. So this is the one I made in gray that is in the shape of a little castle. I did not design any of these models. I'll post the designers in the comments. Lesson 1, children, cite your sources. There you go. You'll understand that when you get to school. So these are succulents. This here we have aloe vera. Succulents are great because you don't have to water them or remember about them. Just whenever you see them, like, oh yeah, I should water that thing. They're really easy to keep alive. You just have to be as nurturing as a desert. So it's a very low bar. You can't see my hand, it's very low. That's the level, that's the threshold. A lot of them are pretty spiny. Cacti, all those are succulents, so a lot of bristles, a lot of needles. Aloe vera is very useful because if you get burns or cuts or scrapes, you can rub it on the skin and it's very soothing. It's kind of a little natural medicine that way. It's great for sunburns. So it's a handy plant to keep around, so I like it because it's useful and it's very easy to keep alive. It will sprout its own baby aloe vera plants, so you can repot those, that's pretty great. And here I have another succulent, I don't know what it's called. I got it yesterday and I already forgot it. We'll read the card for aloe vera. I started keeping the cards in there just in case you want to reference it or anything. Didn't do it for the one whose name I didn't know. That would have been handy. To use, cut away outer skin away from a leaf, rub sap onto affected areas, place plant in full sun or on bright windowsill. Water when soil is moderately dry, protect from frost. So this I'm actually keeping indoors in my kitchen on the little windowsill. It gets a fair amount of sun, direct and indirect. And what I like about this design is it has a little moat. They call it a little moat. There's a wider version. I did this narrower, so it'll be a smaller footprint. But that cuts all the water drain off. So if the water drains through, it'll gather in there and evaporate, what I thought was pretty cool. Yeah. This is another aloe vera. I got this one several weeks ago. Same thing, same scale, cool Pokeball little planter. This was 4 different pieces and just kind of slides in together. So, also, don't really move plants around that much. You can kind of tell it's kind of wobbling. They don't like it. So just get a plant, lesson 2, leave it, don't play with it. Okay, so we're gonna repot some plants. I made a cute little Bulbasaur planter and I painted the little toes and the eyes. So I printed this just in a kind of brownish, greenish green, which I kind of like, kind of reflects in the light, different shades. I'm not going to paint it to be super accurate. Again, they're planters, so I just want them to hold plants. I don't want to be like a detailed model, put a lot of time and work into it, so I didn't sand it or paint, really prime it or anything. I just did a little accents for the little toes and the eyes, which I thought was nice. Once I get some green paint, I'll probably add in these little spots. Probably, we'll see how that looks. And then I glued little pegs, little foot stands on the feet, because I'm going to set it in these little trays. This was designed for the Oddish one, but I made a larger one. I scaled it up and did some measurements. That way, this drainage hole is very flush, so when I added the foot stools, little foot pegs, it'll raise it up enough, and all the water can drain water and dirt can accumulate in this little tray. These I'm going to leave indoors on my desk. So the plants I chose for these are low light plants that can survive just off fluorescent lights and being inside. Moderate water usually. Succulents, they're desert plants, they want a good amount of sunlight, either direct, indirect, moderate to high light, low water. These are a little bit higher water, lower light. This is called a mini white. Lesson 3, children. This is a dead plant, I'm pretty sure. Don't buy it like this. I, for some reason, thought this was what it's supposed to look like. So I was like, oh, okay, I'll take it home and water it. And then I got home and I Googled it, and it's supposed to be alive and upright and leafy and not, don't buy plants like this. I'll probably try to return it. I gave it some water. I got this yesterday, so I'm trying to see if it springs back to life. Lesson 4, always keep your receipts. That way you can return things. I don't know if you can return plants to Home Depot. We're gonna find out. So that's supposed to go in the Bulbasaur planter. I'm not gonna plant it because it's not doing so well. So I'm gonna wait. I'll do some Googling, see what the return policy is on plants and living things, and I'll probably try to return that. So that's what this is going to look like. Cute little leaf tray, planter there, drainage hole, life lesson 5. You want your plants to drain. Especially with succulents, a lot of the danger comes in overwatering, and the water gets stuck in the mud and the dirt, and it'll create rot. So you want to have a place. Reading comment, sorry. You want to have a place where the water can drain. So holes in the bottom of plot. If you make your own planters or you use anything like a milk carton, drill some holes into it. You want the water to escape. And don't leave it flat on the surface. Allow some room for drainage. So we're going to repot this cute little oddish. I painted the little eyes black and a little mouth, and he's so a little happy. Same thing, but this one was designed to come with these separately. So I glued on these little foot pads, and they will sit in there, and you can see this one's much more designed for this. It looks really adorable. Okay, so what we're going to plant is called a Sansevieria. Yeah. It's from Brazil. Both of these are from Brazil. And it also enjoys low light. This one is much more alive, and it actually kind of looks like a little Otterstock, so I'm actually pretty happy with that. I've seen pictures and designs online where people will really spend a lot of time to make the Pokemon planters look like the Pokemon, which is really impressive and cool. I didn't really do that. I was mainly going for plants that would survive based on where I want to put them. So these being indoor plants, I was really limited to the size and the type of indoor plants that were available. But it worked out pretty well. I'm pretty excited about it. Low light. Water when soil feels dry. That seems pretty standard for plants. Easy to grow, we'll see. Slow growth. A lot of these plants that are being from Brazil are from deep forests and rainforests. A lot of the low light plants, they're underbrush shrubbery plants. So they're meant to grow and survive at the bottom of all these other trees and vines blocking the sunlight. So they're not in the middle of a field, they're not on top of a mountain, they're not these big tall trees, they're underbrush plants. So you can tell they have these wide, dark leaves that just capture as much sunlight as possible, and they grow very slowly because growth is energy. So low light, you get low energy, low growth. So that's how you can kind of tell the low light plants. This one, you can kind of tell it used to have these very dark, very broad leaves. If you compare that to the succulents, which are very narrow and spiny, and they don't have as broad and leafy. So they're a lot more drought tolerant, but they also can absorb sunlight a lot more efficiently. They're meant to be in the sun. So, fertilize every 6 months. Cool. Sansevieria. Pro tip number 5, never use a knife without adult supervision, kids. I'm the adult, so I'm going to supervise myself. Cut away from you. Life tip number 6. Life tip number 7. Retract the knife blade when you're not using it. Okay, you want to fill the planter pot, about 40%, 30 to 40% full. Break up the roots. Plant your new plant, and then fill the rest of it dirt. I've been doing this outside, so I don't care if I make a mess, but I wanted to do it inside to make this video, and let's be honest, the garage can't get much messier than this. So. And then you want to fill the rest of it with dirt. Well, the interesting thing is, I probably should have filled it more with dirt. It's because it's so round, there's a lot of empty space out here on the edges. So I'm going to try to fill that dirt around a little bit more, raise the plant up a little bit. There we go. So loose, dry dirt is very loose. And as you start to water it, kids, it'll really compact. So I'm going to overfill it slightly because over the next couple of days, that will really start to compress down. Even more so over weeks and months. Okay. There we go. Looks so happy. Let's do a little bit more dirt. Pro tip number 7, kids. You can also use this as a little scoop to scoop dirt instead of just pouring it everywhere and making a giant mess. Okay, now that you have planted it, I'm going to put this back in just if I want to remember the name or something later. Cut away from you. There we go. Next, you want to water it. Watering is great. You want to water when it's fresh. That way it loosens up all the dirt. It encourages growth for the plant to expand in all the new room that you've given it. They purposely make those tiny planter pots really small. They're not you don't want to have the plant in here forever because the roots grow against the edge, and then when you plant a new plot, it grows out and takes root in its new home. So let's get some water. I've been experimenting. Always retract your knives. Okay. I've been experimenting with using a spray bottle instead of a watering can because I have a spray bottle and I don't have a watering can. I've also noticed when I use a watering can, it just pours all this water at once and I get really deep ruts in the soil. So we're going to see how this goes. I'm not sure if it's getting enough quantity of water. It's been fine for the succulents so far. So we'll try it with the other plants as well. I've just been throwing a ton of water this way. And it does kind of make a giant water mess, but whatever. I'll just rub dirt all over my clothes. Cool. So, get out there, practice your green thumb, plant more plants and trees. Can never have too many. They filter out toxins, create oxygen. Cool ones like aloe vera you can use for medicinal purposes for burns and stuff. There's plants that have little built-in needles and threads. You can get a lot of really cool things from plants. You can plant herbs and eat them. Don't eat plants without checking with your parents first. Pro tip number 8. Okay. Thanks for watching, America. Enjoy, kids.